Sometimes, luck can fall into our laps when we least expect it, like receiving a billion yuan like this guy. A grown man watches this show from the millionaire game, wanting to be that guy who became a billionaire, and the women fall into his arms. His name is Yifei. He imagines all kinds of women he could get with so much money, submissive women, women to marry, the dream of every worker. Of course, Yuxuan is my main wife, he says. He literally wanted a harem, not for the faint-hearted, but his colorful little world ends when he gets a blow to the head for being distracted and playing during work. Recently, the renowned investor Miss Guya acquired several companies, including Longxing, where our protagonist worked. The companies underwent major reforms in all sectors, and one of those reforms is well known. It's called cost-cutting, or, affectionately, layoffs. The protagonist and his friend leave with boxes full of materials. They were fired without notice, and the worst part, they won't even receive their vacation pay. They could barely pay their rent. Yifei asks if his friend wants him to lend him some money, but he's in the same situation, just a stick for the cat. Miss Gu appears on the hologram, saying that the layoffs were just to optimize the companies, getting rid of useless people. She smiles nicely so as not to hurt anyone. Yifei's friend gets really angry, and rightfully so, for being called useless. Forget it, Yifei says, trying to prevent him from causing trouble. After all, there's no reason to cry over spilled milk. A month passes, and the protagonist is in his apartment playing video games. While playing, he checks his emails, which are every job seeker's nightmare. You don't meet the requirements, you didn't pass the second round, the usual stuff. And to top off his frustration, he loses again in the game. Looking at his account, the balance is insufficient, and he laments. A month of doing nothing, unable to get anything. Suddenly, his doorbell rings, and when he answers, it's Xiaoman, his girlfriend. But there's no welcome kiss here. She just says, "You spent the whole day playing, didn't you?" And from the can in her hand, it looks like she's been drinking too. But he says his friend DeLong came over, and they drank a little. She scolds him, pointing out his idle reality. Since he was fired, all he does is play games. Even though he asks for more time, his girlfriend says that while he's been sitting around, the boyfriends of other girls have been getting promotions. And since love alone doesn't sustain a relationship, she breaks up with him. "My mom was right. There's no future with you," she says coldly, and she just leaves, calling him a loser. Anger fills his heart, and Yifei throws the controller at his monitor, smashing it. No job, no girlfriend, and now no game. What a disaster. But from that crack, a message appears. Billionaire Game Link System. A tangible interface emerges from the monitor, as if by magic, or just advanced technology from his world. It was nothing more than a game that would be very real. The task was simple. He would receive an initial capital to expand his wealth. Reward or punishment. The game informed him he would receive a personal assistant, and that's when a woman jumped out of the screen and hugged him with all her abundance. Right in the middle, the woman introduced herself as his virtual and personal assistant. "Meng Ling, get off me first," that's what he said. And the assistant asked him to withdraw his initial capital. When he said the magic words, stacks and stacks of bills poured out like rain in front of him. Meng Ling congratulated him on acquiring 10 million yuan, so much money that it had to be piled up behind him. Fei said he had never seen so much money in his life. Meng informed him that all that money had been deposited into his account, and his first mission was loading. And the first task was, spend 20% of what was in his account to earn 5 million. You have to spend money to make money. As the saying goes, spend 2 million just like that, for fun? It was going to be easy. That's why he said his next stop was the PlayStation Store, which left the virtual girl intrigued. Despite his desire to splurge on microtransactions, Meng explained that this money wasn't fake. It was real money. That's the name of the game. When he checked the account, Yifei was stunned. He thought the money was virtual currency, but no, it was real for real. "So I'm a multimillionaire," he said, shocked. Meng Ling gave him the time limit for the task, 5 hours to flaunt 2 million yuan however he wanted, and Fei said only an original Rolex should do the trick. At the jewelry store, he didn't even sit to admire the wonders. He tried on a beautiful watch and asked the assistant what she thought. To his surprise, she said it was a limited edition, thinking he didn't have money for such a thing. But Fei saw this as the classic scene of the snobbish saleswoman getting a slap in the face. His phone rings, and when he answers, we only hear a desperate voice, "Don Corleone, help me." The saleswoman thought it was the classic scene of the broke guy pretending to receive a call to cover it up. Fei just pulled out his card with an infinite balance and said, I'm buying everything. The attendant just obeyed and packed everything, and Faye felt the taste of how money can make us feel incredible. Leaving the store, Faye passed by his virtual assistant, and as if it were fate, his ex-girlfriend passed by right at that moment and saw the scene, thinking the gifts were for her. A shame that in the world everything is an illusion, because Faye handed one of the watches to Meng Ling, right in front of his ex. The virtual girl said she didn't need it, but he insisted. Xiaoman, the ex-girlfriend, couldn't believe it. In fact, she didn't believe it. Impossible, she said. After leaving there, he went to DeLong's house. The blonde guy wanted Yifei's help because he was playing against a streamer who was a pro at MR. The one with pink hair had barely 1,000 followers on Twitch and challenged anyone who could defeat her. Note, MR I read as MAR, as it's said in English. DeLong begs Faye to play a match for him and beat the cocky gamer, even promising a meal. But the millionaire boy told him to forget about it and picked up the phone to check out who this MR was. And he started the game. Although it was his first time playing that game, he had already figured out the mechanics, and the dry blow to the girl was fatal. It was time to pay the promise. With a renegade angel face, she simply said, "Tell me what you want to do with me." And the live chat went crazy typing. Make her do pole dance. Pole dance. Make her dance. The streamer just said she might not know how to dance. Faye, generously, didn't ask her to dance but instead asked her to sing. The streamer thanked him, relieved, and promised to sing with all her soul. Only a random insane person watching the stream, named Kwangdao, didn't like this very much, and he went to the live chat. He made a bigger donation for MR to start dancing. The girl was embarrassed because she didn't know the basics of dancing, and that's when Kwangdao sent the message, "Oh, you can't dance? Then take off your clothes." DeLong got furious at Kwangdao's shameless behavior, using the donation to influence others to donate more, forcing MR to perform obscene acts. And that's when Faye realized that money ruled the platform. DeLong explained that the first person who donates more on the platform can report the streamer, and he will be punished. That's when Faye saw that it was all about throwing money around. To clarify, he asked Meng Ling if virtual spending counted, and she said yes. He went to the live stream, and the donation button maxed out at 50,000, a ridiculous price for him now that he was a millionaire. So, he pressed the donate button for 50,000 as many times as he could, and the chat went wild. And so, Yefeng became the first in the donation ranking, leaving MR emotional. The most satisfying part was seeing the desperation of the insane Kwangdao in the comments, who ended up resorting to insults. DeLong was out of breath. "Damn, where did you get all that money?" he asked. Faye said it was just a small part of an unexpected income. MR just thanked him for the donation. At his house, while someone hung up on him, Meng Ling appeared with a snap of her fingers, saying it was time to pay his reward. Like a little kid, Faye was doubly emotional, receiving a smile from a beautiful streamer and a millionaire reward. You don't find that on every corner. Meng even apologized for not understanding, as she didn't have an emotional matrix installed. Even so, she recorded that moment in her database. She then gave him the reward of 5 million and asked if he wanted to exchange that for the reward of a beautiful woman. But he said no, he was satisfied with the beauty of that amount. 5 million, like the 5 fingers of his palm. He said he would buy whatever he wanted. Soon, they were at a dealership. Meng said his interest in buying a car increased suddenly. According to her analysis, Faye felt a bit embarrassed. But right next to them, his ex, Xiaoman, was selling a car. The ill-intentioned client purposely threw his lighter under the car. "Oh no, miss, could you get it for me?" he said. She just looked away, already feeling humiliated. Faye explained to his virtual assistant that the girl was his ex, and the man blackmailed Xiaoman with the classic, "Help me or I'll talk to your manager." The woman had no choice but to crawl under the car like that, and showed everything, absolutely everything. The man made a dumb joke, preparing to do what everyone knows he wanted to do. But Yifei's pale hand gripped his wrist tightly. "You can't even buy a new lighter, and here you are playing bourgeois," Faye said. Xiaoman was surprised to see her ex with such swagger. The man advised Faye to take care of his life. He said just one of his purchases could sustain Xiaoman for half a year. And when Yifei was about to retort, Xiaoman told him to calm down because this man was only the owner of Yuanbo Electronics. She realized it would be terrible if the magnate decided to retaliate against them. When he got excited by her attitude, Yifei got furious and threw his iPhone on the car hood, saying, "This is mine." The girl was impressed, not understanding how he had so much money. The magnate said he shouldn't even try, the price of that would ruin his wife's savings. But Yifei, unsatisfied, still said he was going to take the Rolls-Royce in the back. "The price of a car like that costs not just one, but both of your eyes." He said that for his girlfriend, a car like that was just a toy. Xiaoman was happy to see that her ex was now on top, and maybe she could even get back together with him. "Why spend your money buying a car for me?" she said awkwardly. Yifei looked at her for a while. He turned to his Meng Ling and just said, did you like that? It's for you. The virtual girl praised the quality of the car and received a cheek squeeze. Xiaoman could only watch the scene, not believing that her ex no longer suffered from the curse of love. And as if wishing for something more serious, her prayers were answered when he received a juicy kiss from his assistant. Xiaoman saw the worst disaster a woman can witness after a breakup, her ex kissing someone else. So sudden, it left Yifei a little shocked. Meng was just applying his earlier reward, the gratitude of a beautiful woman. The protagonist thanked her, saying he felt much better now. That wasn't the case for Xiaoman, where jealousy gnawed at her and her stomach was cold and twisted. At night, the newly minted millionaire was having a glass of wine when he received a message from Mr., the streamer from earlier. She was happy, all lit up because he accepted her friend request. She typed her message, wondering if she should call him Brother Yefeng or just Yefeng. After all, they didn't even know each other. But 5 minutes passed with her typing, so most likely a long message was coming. But something different came, maybe even better. In fact, definitely much better. Because when he opened it, it was a hologram message where the girl was about to sing especially for him. I wonder if she sings well, he asked with hesitation, and she sang chord by chord. And to his delight, she sang beautifully. And even more to her delight, when Faye thanked her, she rolled on the floor with joy. Mr. didn't waste any time and invited Yefeng to go with her to an event, wondering if she was being too pushy. He, on the other hand, thought she was just trying to ride the hype with him. So he responded that he would be busy. But his virtual assistant appeared out of nowhere, popping out between his legs, leaving him even embarrassed. It wasn't a big deal, just another task. The problem was this task, because he had to spend at least a year supporting the streamer, spending at least $1 million per month. Even though the reward was $2 million, Yifei wasn't too pleased with the offer. He didn't want to be anyone's sugar daddy. He preferred mutual affection. Meng Ling even tried to record this, but he told her not to. He asked what would happen if he refused. The girl immediately said that he would be charged $24 million, money that he didn't have in his account, and he would have to pay the rest by working worse than a regular employee, with no breaks. This is a scam, he yelled desperately. Grinding his teeth, he would have to sacrifice his dignity and do the hard task of going out with a waifu for a year. The message reached Mr., who saw that he had changed his mind. 3 days later, Yifei went to a closed fan meeting of Mr., where she would perform. Her fan base had grown a lot since she started singing and showing her content from a different perspective. The fans' happy faces were not the same as Yifei's in the middle of the crowd. He worried if he would be trampled to death if the fans found out that he was her investor. But Meng Ling activated combat matrices and would protect him if anything happened. That's when Kwangdao showed up, cursing the quality of her music and calling the otakus literos compera. He also said that if it were him, he would shorten her skirt more. She responded that she would never sell her clothes and that she was learning to sing. Oh, so you're only learning to please Yefeng, your #1 fan, right? Kwangdao teased her. And what about using my money? Yifei said, adding that he would sponsor her career as a private investor. Kwangdao rudely asked for his name, and Fei simply said, I'm Yefeng, her #1 fan. Mr. was embarrassed to know that he was the infamous Yefeng. The millionaire boy just told Kwangdao to stop barking, since he didn't have the money to get a woman. That was the last straw for the sly Kwang, who attacked Yifei from behind. But realizing the hostile action, Meng Ling went into vigilant mode. Kwangdao only took 1 hit and didn't get up again. Yifei told Mr. to continue the show. He and his assistant would take care of everything. Why are you helping me like this? She asked. Yefeng said that he saw potential in her, inviting her to start a streamer company. It was no surprise that she accepted, saying she would work hard and make a lot of money for him. After receiving that thumbs up, Mr. excited the crowd, who were chanting her name. The show must go on. Realizing he spoke too much, Yifei asked Meng if it was possible to buy a company. After a data scan, Meng saw that the best option was Starlight Entertainment, one of those companies on its last legs, desperately in need of an acquisition. In 3 days, Yifei could meet face to face with the manager. Nice, Fei said with a smile. At a company in the city, President Gu's assistant, the same one who fired everyone at the beginning, brings the speech she prepared for her to give at the business forum. She simply said that she had something more important to say. 3 days later, the business forum was set up. The president of Starlight, Zhang Zhe, asked very seriously if Yifei was really willing to buy his company. Fei said the obvious and offered a generous $6 million for the company. But for Zhang, it wasn't generous enough. For the size of the company, it was at least $10 million. Not wanting to seem eccentric, but being, Yefeng said that his company used an outdated training model for streamers, and the conversion rate was less than 3%, not to mention their questionable contracts, which from time to time, the Federal Cultural Agency had been investigating. You know this, right? he said with a grim smile. With that loving and caring push, Fei presented his plan for the company. His plan was to completely reshape the company and turn it into a talent incubation firm. Zhang read it carefully, and Yefeng said it would be the biggest investment of his life. When Zhang was about to sign the contract, a hand stopped him. President Gu appeared, offering the chance to merge Starlight with her company. With the support of her company's powerful capital, Starlight could truly grow, unlike the empty plans of just anyone. Zhang Zhe seemed to accept the proposal. That's when Yifei met someone who had a sharper tongue than his. Master Zhang followed President Gu to sign the contract. Yifei asked if he could keep the Starlight name since he was going to acquire it. Miss Gu found it strange, since the company wasn't even that well known, so she thought Fei was in the dream and passion vibe, looking like a teenager. So what if I am? He retorted. Then, with seriousness, he asked Zhang Zhu if he really wanted his company to survive. This moved his feelings, and after a moment of thinking, he turned his back and simply apologized to Miss Gu. "This company is my blood and tears," he said. Gu expressed her disappointment, saying she hoped he wouldn't regret it. But what was he going to do? He was getting 6 million right then. After that, the business fair continued, and Miss Gu gave her speech. In her view, the first thing to do in a company after an acquisition was simple: eliminate the dead cells. In other words, mass layoffs. And who was back there? The guy who had been, guess what, fired. When she opened the floor for questions, Yefeng raised his hand and said that maybe she hadn't been paying attention. This immediately caught her attention, and Meng Ling gave the boy access to the presentation panel. Directly, he said that last year, Starlight had provided 27% of her company's intellectual properties, and the hard work had been done by those problematic workers she referred to. "You cut the bushes and forget that it's the fungi that keep the tree alive," he said while making his hologram. The people in the audience wholeheartedly agreed, even calling her family ruthless. She couldn't retaliate. Fei said that a real company should act like an incubator, not a meat grinder, unless she was afraid of him entering the game. When she tried to disguise it by asking who he was, Fei said he was just a small fish wanting to become a shark. After a lot of random conversation, he received another task: to earn 30 million with Starlight and become an investor in Miss Gu's corporation. The reward was 500 million, but if he failed, he would be hunted for 1 billion. He went crazy with this tightrope, as Miss Gu was a trillionaire. Any investment he made would be like filling a pool with a sieve. But unable to pay the penalty, he accepts the task. For some, it may be a surprise, but Gu congratulates him. "I want to see how far this little fish can grow," she says. Continuing with the fair, Yifei goes to the lobby of Whale Wave, a music studio. One of the magnates approaches him. Fei doesn't even introduce himself and opens a suitcase full of money. He offers 30 million for the immediate acquisition of the company. The man can barely believe it, but Fei is not joking. As the first order, he tells them to organize a show for MR that would set the city on fire. After that, he goes to a plot of land he bought, ordering the construction of an arena that would make a holographic meteor shower. His assistant is concerned about the budget, but Yefeng shows him the infamous black card with an infinite balance. "Spend whatever you want, with 50 million, he says. After that, he thinks he may have overdone it since he spent more than his reward would cover. To comfort him, Meng Ling says the probability of success for these plans is 89%. It's the turning point between victory or defeat. Half a month later, the arena is ready, all in cyberpunk style. Yifei says he made it especially for MR. She's impressed. Testing the platform, Yefeng shows the technology that creates a holographic galactic sky. She already imagines herself receiving praise from people. The protagonist asks if the giant screens are ready, and Meng Ling says everything is set. When the real work begins, MR is broadcast on the screens in the upscale avenues of the city. Everyone stops to watch her. She simply thanks Yifei for making her dream come true. Miss Bu watches quietly with her blue eyes, scheming something. The results are encouraging. The boy says things are going viral. As proof, Meng says the profit is around 100 million, and the revenue continues to grow. An insane amount. He hugs her when he realizes the mission he received is complete, and everyone watching sees the scene, especially Miss Bu, the one you see in the back in the middle, saying she had underestimated the kid. Yifei and his assistant arrive at the agency building. He wants to know if coming here will really help him become an investor in Miss Gu's company. Meng Ling says the finance director always comes here, so it's a good opportunity. Entering the building, Fei sees the director from afar. From his suspicious hands on the employees, Fei sees the man is a little too touchy, but his attention is caught when he hears a woman being harassed by a man. The man had a hand on manager Zhou. The woman asks him to stop, but he continues saying he is a diamond investor in the company. It didn't help to talk, and he continued with his perverted act. He tried to slap the woman, thinking he had the authority, but ended up getting slapped back. Yifei arrived just in time. "Who do you think you are, ruining my fun?" he said. The system gave him 10x more for the rescue. Enjoying this, Fei took full advantage and said he was the boss there. The man said he knew the real boss, but little did he know that this kid had more influence than Elon Musk. Fei says that if he's not the boss, he's about to be. So, he tells Meng Ling to prepare the wallet and the contract because he's going to buy the club. Manager Zhou is moved because he did that for her. The NPC continues saying that this club was the Zhou family's most precious possession. Do you think you have the money for that? He said sarcastically. But to Fei, that wasn't even the smallest of problems. Shortly after, the acquisition is complete. The club is his. While Meng receives a pat on the back, Manager Zhou is impressed by the fastest acquisition she's ever seen. In the first order of the day, guess what? Take the gentleman out of here, the new boss Fei orders. The police drag him out like a sack of trash. Big profits, Fei says, celebrating the big acquisition and other big things too, if you know what I mean. And make that big. Manager Zhou thanks him by giving him a sweet card. Moving on with life, he and DeLong head to a reunion of old high school friends. Fei just wanted to escape business for a bit. At the reunion, the table is set. One of their friends asks the former class monitor when he's going to marry the representative. There's still a lot to prepare, like renting a Ferrari just for the wedding, he explains, and his contacts even allowed him to book the place 3 years in advance. DeLong says he got a managerial position at a foreign company. Fei regrets staying there, listening to the boring speeches of a show-off. If I had known, I would have stayed home, he thinks. But then, a beauty arrives at the reunion, apologizing for being late. Tianran is the name of the emotion, which makes Fei a little excited. He remembers the school days with the girl, his first love, Chen Tianran. The former monitor even makes a joke about what she's wearing, even though she was the most beautiful in the class. Tianran apologizes for not having time to change clothes. He keeps teasing, saying that even though she was a food delivery girl, she was still a knockout. She loses all her charm with that. Naturally, she goes behind Fei, who stands up, asking him to take it easy. After all, it was a class reunion. But the former monitor thought he was the king of the world and said he would treat whoever he wanted, however he wanted. Even though Tianran asked Fei to let it go, he took advantage of the waitress passing with a good drink on the tray. He wasted no time and poured it on the guy's head, if you can even call him a friend. He didn't even regret it. With his black card, he paid for the bottle of alcohol, grabbed Tianran by the arm, and left. The waitress was stunned to see he was a VIP member. Outside, DeLong said it was destiny how they always ended up together. Tianran told him to stop being silly, as it was just a thing between old friends. DeLong says it's not silly because, back in school, Fei made a study notebook just for her. That notebook was yours, she said, as she thought the notebook was from a guy named Zhang Zhe, who also liked her. DeLong fuels the fire more, revealing that Fei spent a month making it. Tianran only called him an idiot, saying he should have said it was him from the start. And before she could cry, he hugged her warmly. When another message appeared on the interface, Fei asks what happened with his friend during that time. At her work, Tianran heard comments that the company was about to be acquired. Some said the new boss was too young, while others wanted to be the boss's woman. Tianran keeps her focus, when out of nowhere, Fei appears. "What are you doing here?" she asks. In his hands was the answer. The company was his. He grabs her by the arm and leaves, leaving the others intrigued about how they knew each other. Tianran asks why he took her to his office. The surprise is that it's not his office, but hers. "Don't mess with me," she smiles, saying in admiration. She would be the new manager of the new logistics and drone delivery company, a high-ranking position of great responsibility, one she doubted she could handle. "And why can't you handle it?" was his reply. In the past, she was the perfect student, diligent, hardworking, and the teacher's favorite, and most importantly, trust. He trusted her above everyone else. In tears, she thanked him, saying that he didn't need to treat her like this right away. But there was more to it. Maybe, that old dormant love. The moment is broken when a cute little girl enters the room with her mother's lunch. Yes, it was Tianran's daughter. Her name is Yaya. It was then that Fei understood why a promising girl like Tianran had ended up in this life. "I'm going to hit you for messing with my mom," the little girl shouted and threw the lunchbox, which hit Fei right in the forehead. With nowhere to hide her face, Tianran told her daughter to apologize. Still sulking but with cuteness, Yaya apologized to the owner of the company. He didn't mind. After all, she was just a child. He didn't speak, but was clearly disappointed, saying that he didn't know she had gotten married. Tianran simply said that she wasn't qualified to manage the company. As she turned her back, Fei said she misunderstood. He didn't let her go. Eye to eye, He said he would trust her with the company because he trusted her abilities. Nothing more, nothing less. The cute little Yaya didn't like that interaction. Kids things. It was only a matter of time before the office was fully decorated. Look at the beauty of it. And Tianran was much more beautiful and radiant, just as a manager should be. Yefeng explained the basics to a finance chief. Revenue, costs, accounting. And when he was about to talk about the aid system, Tianran didn't let him finish and spoke everything perfectly, just like the exemplary student she always was. A promising young chief, he said, and she teased him. But sneaking from the corner was the infamous Yaya. She thought Yifei wanted to take her busy mother away. She shut the door, locking them inside the cold chamber. They were startled, and no one answered the phones to come unlock the place. The cold hit, and Fei put on Tianran's clothes as the place was freezing. However, he was still going to try to break down the door by force. After a few knocks, it was no use. It was too cold. They could only wait for someone to come open it. That's when Tianran hugged her friend to try and warm up. And let's just say, things were starting to heat up. "Do you want to hear about me and my daughter?" she asked. She said she was afraid of him rejecting her. She entered university alongside this Zhang Zhe guy and they had an affair. When she got pregnant, he abandoned her. She gave birth to Ye, which is why she had to work to support her daughter. Hearing this made Yifei furious. Tianran, because of her situation, considered herself totally unworthy of Yifei. He wiped her tears and also her heart, telling her that to him, she had always been the same. There was no better moment for them to do what a couple does. If fate allowed. A worker opened the door, frantic. Both turned as red as a pepper from embarrassment, and the worker thought it was because of the cold. After some time, Yaya got a few spanks for the mischief. Things children do without even thinking about the possibility of hurting someone, as her mother said. Yifei told her to go easy on her. It was just child's play. And when their hands touched, it was unpleasant for the little one. "You wouldn't care if you did," she said. After starting to pout, the little girl stopped and began having spasms in her body, gasping for air. Her breathing became heavy, and her lungs seemed to be closing. Tianran panicked because it was an asthma attack. Immediately, Yifei called for an ambulance, but the little girl was gasping for air every second. And after some time, the ambulance still hadn't arrived. Yefeng thought it would still take a while, but the little girl couldn't wait. It was then that Meng Ling appeared, detecting an anomaly. Yifei immediately asked for a solution, and fast. Meng said that if he dispatched 30 million, a helicopter would be sent immediately. Fei told her to arrange it without wasting any time, no matter the cost. He took the little girl in his arms and, without saying anything, rushed out, climbing the stairs as fast as he could. "Just follow me," he said when Tianran questioned him. And when they reached the rooftop, the helicopter was already waiting at the helipad. Tianran was stunned that he had called for an aircraft, and while her vision faded, Yaya heard Fei telling her to hang in there. "He seems like a father," she said before passing out. At the hospital, little Yaya was already stable and out of danger. Fei told Tianran not to worry about anything in the next few days. Just take care of her daughter. She hugged him without a second thought, thanking him emotionally. The young man was kind. She didn't need to worry about that. She said she would pay for the helicopter costs. And even though he told her to forget it, Tianran insisted. With that, the interface appeared, informing that Fei had completed the mission of reshaping Tianran's life. Indeed, she had changed. She was no longer a mother with limited financial resources. Now, she was a manager and could provide a better life for her daughter. Meng Ling appeared, informing that everything was fine. He had earned 10 billion. Yes, 10 billion as a reward. Tianran turned red when she heard Meng call the handsome guy master. "It's not what you think," he said, dragging his assistant out of the room. While a million thoughts passed through her mind, the beautiful Tianran heard, "Mom, be strong." She was stunned when Yaya woke up, sane and cheerful. As mischievous as she was, she told her mom to act before Yifei was swept away by the blonde 10 out of 10. Although this embarrassed her mom, Yaya went even further, saying that she wanted him to be her father. Outside the room, the conversation got more serious, and Meng gave Fei confidential information about the Gu family company, a finance book that left Yefeng shocked. After some time, Yifei was about to cut the ribbon for the new company. With the mission completed, another 500 million were in his account. Meng said that he had secured good subsidiaries, making him an investor in Miss Guya's company. He said it was all thanks to that financial report. Guya suddenly appeared out of nowhere and told him to stop. Calmly, she said she wanted to have a chat with him, but in her office, turned like a crab in a can, she asked how he managed to convince the investors to sell their shares. Yifei simply said that he struck where it hurt the most, in her conscience, because everyone had been doing the wrong things. "You were pretty careless, huh?" he said. "What do you mean?" she asked, not understanding at all. Yifei just threw the book on the table and said she would understand once she saw it. She looked calmly. "Only bad things," he said in detail. "Exorbitant profits, budget out of the ordinary. Something was definitely wrong. Guyi realized that there were people smuggling inside the company. She even stepped back, embarrassed by this slip-up she had never noticed. Yifei said that by the look on her face, it seemed like she really didn't know about the Gray's industries. She said she hadn't been careful, and this had happened right under her nose the whole time. Aha, I see, you must have been really busy, he said. And Guya said that it was her father's fault, who refused to hand over the business to her. That's when Faye asked if her father was incapable of assuming authority because he was old. But Guya said the problem was different. Her father wanted to pass the authority on to his illegitimate son. How does your father have a bastard son? Faye asked. Guya replied, our families were wealthy but separated. I'm excellent. How could he dare leave everything to a bastard son? And she said that all she had to do was make one mistake, and everything would go to her brother. Yifei wasn't impressed that she was this grumpy. Also, with a upbringing like that. But the most important thing was that he said he could help her get rid of the bastard son. But first, he would want some shares from her. What? She said, with a face that looked like she had eaten something she didn't like. You think I'm 3 years old? It's not that easy to decide, she said. But Faye said it wasn't like that. It was a 30% deduction from all his companies, a huge investment. She wasn't one of those women who would be fooled by such boldness. Guya said he was just trying to infiltrate her company. She didn't need that kind of help, and that pressure made the protagonist sweat nervously. Not knowing what to answer, he thought it was better to get out of there. He was clumsy enough to stumble on the counter, but he caught himself by placing his hand on something that wasn't as hard as wood. This is the kind of man I am. Like it or not, he said, holding on tightly to a pair of big problems. And big, indeed. He pulled his hand away, condemning himself for saying the dumbest thing he could have said. But the effect was more unexpected. Guyi just smiled, saying he was too funny. He made a fool of himself, while Guyi closed the gates of paradise, saying that she accepted his proposal. And why? He asked. You're the only one who dared do something like this with me, she said. This is what women like. Boldness. Just kidding. Don't do this, okay? Passing through the hallway, 2 employees saw Miss Gu from a distance. Do you think that handsome, tall guy is her boyfriend? One said. The other was the ex-girlfriend of Yifei. She just grabbed her friend's arm and diverted from the path, already filled with jealousy. Yifei recognized her from a distance and approached her. Long time no see, he started. Xiaoman said that he wasn't going to buy a car, so he shouldn't get in the way of her work. But yes, he was buying a car, and he told Guya, his new partner, that he was buying just a small gift as proof of their partnership. Guyi said he was the only one, after her father, that she would accept a car from. Yifei called his ex to give a recommendation. Angry, she just went and presented a limited model, the only one of its kind in the whole city. The only one here is the best, just like you, he said to Guyi, before receiving that kiss. Xiaoman was already at her limit seeing all of this. Guyi said that after all this drama, the price would be high. That's why she would raise the price of asset acquisition. Enough, stop humiliating me, his ex said, already crying. And let's be honest, he was laying it on thick. But he grabbed her arm and said that it was she who chose this path. If she had been a bit more patient, that car could have been hers. But she said that she had resisted her mother for years, gave her all, and in the end, it was all her own blindness's fault. Xiaoman just withdrew her arm and asked him never to appear in front of her again. The protagonist had nothing much to do except watch his ex leave, crying like a baby. What's wrong? You want your new partner to give you some advice? Guya said with a provocative smile. After that, at Starlight Company, news about MR was trending, saying that she was fully supported by Yifei. MR said that she was the one to blame for everything, but Yifei said these were forged articles, and it wasn't her fault. Meng said Yifei was negotiating with the government, and this news could affect his image. But MR said she would tell the media that she had tried to seduce him, and maybe the blame would fall entirely on her. What nonsense. Girl, you want to throw your streaming career in the trash? He said. But she said she had only gotten this far because of him, so she wouldn't mind leaving streaming behind to protect her image. Meng Ling grabbed his arm and told him to stop being sentimental. It would only lead to a mistake. At this point, making a damage control video was the best way out, according to the blonde. Did you do this on purpose? The protagonist asked, and her answer was, do what? Check this out. She made a post, and some pompous guy went there and reposted it with the message, true love is here. Then, people in the comments started shipping them. Yifei suggested investing money to reverse the situation, since the comments were from bots. But MR was afraid that if they did that, they would just add fuel to the fire and make it seem like they were a real couple. Meng Ling was quicker than them and managed to locate the mental master behind the fake profiles. Who the hell did this? Female, Yifei asked, and it was him, the half-brother of Miss Gu Yi. Gu Jia was the troublesome one. Yifei said, I've already ruined his dirty business, and now he's trying to screw me over with a scandal. Yeah, It all made sense. Meng Ling asked if she would be useful in preparing for the revenge. And of course, yes. Yifei told her to start by locating Gu Jie faster than ChatGPT. She did her job, and whispered to her boss, "Wonderful, this guy could still be useful to us," Yifei said with that smile. The first thing was to create a game, Final Judgment Cup. The social media agent said this was a relationship game that was going to go viral. "What do you think?" Yifei asked. "Well, it's worth a try," said Imurf. She was happy that he didn't reject the couple idea. They would be a couple of protagonists in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, killing zombies left and right, and maybe, in doing so, the fake news that they were a couple would go away. Or rather, to hell. Miss Guyi watched the promo video, thinking they made a beautiful couple. She received a message from her half-brother, Gu Jie. He said at the end of everything that Yifei only wanted to take control of the company, which stressed Guyi out. In his office, Yifei was receiving a relaxing massage from his assistant. "Yes, that's it, lower, on the shoulder," he said. He was exhausted after spending the day testing the new game. He received a call. When he answered, the person on the other side said in desperation that they were already working to bring him down. They were going to steal his truck filled with gold chains. She said if the cargo was mishandled, his reputation would be ruined. But he wanted to know why Guya herself didn't inform him about this. "I don't know." "Who knows?" the person said. And he hung up, thinking Guya was behind this disaster. In the middle of the city, the company truck was passing by. Guya's half-brother was there beside her, shouting that he wanted an inspection of the transport company. "Everything she transports is rotten, damaged," he said. Inside the truck were the company's health supplies. This impressed him. Yifei's strategy was to only load the truck with products that were going to be destroyed, so no one could say the company was transporting expired or damaged goods. "What do you mean by that?" Guyi asked. At the press conference, the media wanted an explanation for this issue. Yifei explained that she had discovered the company had medical supplies rich in heavy metals, not good for health, so he scheduled them to be discarded. And everyone bombarded her with questions, asking if it was true. Guyi was left speechless. "You forced me to do this," Yifei said. It wasn't the best solution, but it was a solution. In HR, things were frantic. "Stabilize the social media first. The rest can wait," she ordered desperately. Yifei was in the company's cold chamber showing the public that everything was fine. Everything was clean, and the temperature was cold. Meng Ling came to offer more tips on what to say. Indeed, Gu Jie, her half-brother, was behind the leak, and Guyi would have to clean up his mess. But why do I feel sorry for that woman? She went back on her word, he thought. In her father's office, there was the file on the scandal of the medical supply leak. "You humiliated the whole corporation," he said. To handle the situation, he said that Guyi was going to marry a member of the Zhou family. "Another arranged marriage? I can't take it anymore," she said. And look at her catch. He was boasting about his time on Wall Street in wonderful New York, happy about the marriage, and Guya's face didn't look like someone who was happy. At that moment, Yifei passed by, thanking his virtual assistant. That's when Guyi saw the golden opportunity. "Sorry, but just looking at you makes me sick," she said to him. And it wasn't for nothing. He looked messier than a university student's apartment sink. She just hugged Yifei, saying he was her boyfriend now. That was it. Meng Ling didn't like it much, from the look on her face. Neither did Yifei, who said, "Did you lose your mind? Get out, female." And she replied, "You can date anyone, but not me." "Huh?" Yifei responded, "So now you have my shares, and now I'm useful to you?" "What nonsense are you talking, darling?" the brunette said. And then came the cinematic kiss. "Honestly, you probably want the luck this guy has, right?" She said that Yifei was helping her in any case. And who was filming behind them? It wasn't a paparazzi, but her half-brother. "Do you want to marry my daughter?" Guya's father said. Yifei was speechless for a moment, but he wondered why he always ended up smoothing things out for her, even though she hadn't even explained why she tried to take him out of the game. Her father said that although she was beautiful, intelligent, and good for marriage, in the business world, it was different. But Yifei defended her, saying she was more capable than many men out there. You really know how to win over a woman. I'll let you marry my daughter, and you'll be my successor," the old man said. It was a shock to Guyi, because she wanted to be the boss, but Yifei refused. Yeah, he said he didn't have the stomach for it. But then he received another mission, to become the leader of this company and earn 10 billion. But if he failed, he would lose everything, and his companies would go bankrupt. "Oh, right now," he said. But there was nothing to be done. These were the bones of the trade. Meng Ling brought him everything about the Gu company. Risks, vulnerabilities, even the family's dirty laundry. It was time to get to work. In the boardroom, the shareholders discussed a strategy. One of them said that Yifei was sweeping the company's stocks in the market. The other said he invested 10 billion. But Mr. Gu said that he was just a clown playing around. He told Guyi that Yifei was her problem. "I'll take care of him," she said. But at the same time, she saw that he was acquiring the company little by little. Mr. Gu told her to do a good job, and only then would he feel confident to transfer the company to her name permanently. At the monthly indicators meeting, one of them asked what Fei's company had to compete with the Gu family. Another asked if Fei's company had shifted the food security and transport issues onto the Gu family's shoulders. All slander and lies. Gui said, "We have the right to assume our responsibilities legally," she said further. All she wanted to know was how the hell Fei knew all this information. In the newspaper article, the reporter said that the Gu family gave proof of their innocence. Fei didn't stop acting. The next step was the inauguration ceremony of the Xingye Bridge. The strategy was basic. The bridge would give easy access to port cities, and since he invested in the construction, his popularity was growing faster than a new profile on OnlyFans. "How much money does this son of a bitch have?" Gui asked, extremely irritated. Despite that, the graphs didn't lie. Even shareholders from other companies were switching sides. For Fei, this should be enough to drive Gui crazy. She even sent him, "Rich but stupid." "Oh yeah? Stupid? Let me inject another 300 million here. Let's see who's stupid," he replied. Seeing the amount just keep increasing, she wondered what he was trying to do. Fei's assistant came to inform him that the acquisition progress was already at 25%. The order was to elevate the position. The more shares, the better. "Fei, are you really trying to destroy me?" Xiaoyi said, indignant. Well, it didn't look like it, but he was indeed.